clicking the link and visiting the Tennessee Textbook Commission meeting and workshop webpage. As we start our workshop, we'll first have our introduction of commission members and opening remarks. And if we could please start with Ms. Laura Cardozo-Moore.
Lori Cardozo-Moore, and I was appointed by the Speaker of the House to represent parents and citizens in Tennessee.
Katie Capshaw, appointed by the Lieutenant Governor as a school librarian.
Kathy Hickey, appointed by the Lieutenant Governor, representing East Tennessee.
Linda Cash, appointed by the Lieutenant Governor, representing things Southeast Tennessee.
Cherry Robertson, representing Lebanon Special School District, appointed by the Governor.
I'm Billy Bryan. I'm a high school teacher at Millington High School in West Tennessee, and I was appointed to the commission by Governor Lee.
John Weston, West Tennessee. I was appointed to the commission by Governor Lee.
Christy Wall, Assistant Commissioner of Academics and Instructional Strategy, representing the Department of Education, and Commissioner Reynolds.
Nikki Jones Wallace, State Librarian, representing the Tennessee Department of Education.
I also want to mention that Mr. Mike Bell will possibly be running late. He had some legislative things to take care of, so we hope he makes this with us. And from that, we'll continue with our agenda. So in your second item, it is the workshop agenda. Would you please review the workshop agenda, and any comments or anything would be added at this time. Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to item number 3, textbook substitution, and I will turn that over to Ms. Lee Houston.
We have no textbook substitutions.
Also, in looking at textbook substitution, we've had some obvious changes in legislation, so I'm going to read some documents that will give our district some guidance on reading and language arts and the extension of the adoption from 6 years to 8. Hey, I just said you were going to be late.
I'm trying to get here.
I'd like to provide a brief update on the 2019 Schedule E textbook adoption cycle, through which districts locally adopted English language arts materials in 2020. Currently, English language arts materials are not up for review and adoption again until 2027-28. As this commission has previously discussed in detail, a 2024 change in state law extended the Tennessee adoption cycle from 6 to 8 years. This shift has prompted questions from districts about their currently adopted ELA materials. We want to ensure they have clear guidance as they plan for the next 2 years. And in cooperation with the Department of Education, we want to announce that several, but not all, state-approved ELA vendors from 2019 Schedule E adoption cycle, specifically Amplify Education, Benchmark Education, Cengage Learning, Imagine Learning, formerly known as LearnZillion, McGraw-Hill, Open Up Resources, and Savas, My Perspectives, formerly known as Pearson, have agreed to continue providing the current materials throughout the extended adoption period for an additional 2-year period. With these commitments in place, districts now have 3 options. The first option: first, districts may continue using and purchasing their current state-approved textbook and instructional materials through the school year 27 and 28 from the contracted vendor prior to the end of the current contract ending June 30, 2026. There is no state board waiver is required for this option. Option 2, second, districts may purchase newer, updated editions of materials from a contracted vendor, but because this material is a newer edition than was previously approved in 2019, districts must apply for a waiver from state board prior to using the newer, updated editions of various textbooks and instructional materials. Third, lastly, districts may discontinue their use of current textbook and instructional materials and select a new vendor from the updated approved list that agreed to a 2-year extension. If districts choose this option, districts must update the Tennessee Department of Education District Compliance Forms, specifically Form ED 5099 and Form ED 2153, and there is no state board waiver required for this option. The Textbook Commission, the Department of Education, and the State Board will share more detailed guidance with districts in the coming days and weeks, including direct communication to all district textbook coordinators and directors of schools. The commission is providing this overview today because many districts have reached out seeking clarity, and we want to ensure everyone understands the available options and next steps. Let this serve as a brief status update as additional information is prepared for distribution. First, do I have any questions from the commission regarding that extension? Okay, that's great. We will now move on first to number 4, recognition of Schedule F publisher official bid list. That is actually in your binder. If you would like to take a look at that. You're going to be under tab 4. And you can see these Analytic Orange, Bedford Freeman and Word, Cengage Learning, CEV Multimedia, Gallup-Page, Goodhart Wilcox, HMH Education Company, Imagine Learning, McGraw-Hill, G04813 is correct, Tennessee Economics, Nucleus Courses, Pearson Education, Ramsey, Savas, Social Studies School Service, Studies Weekly, Student or Second, Tennessee History for Kids, Teachers Curriculum Institute. Those are the recommended Schedule F publisher official bid list. Do you have any questions? Okay, they've all gone through the process. Lee, would you have any comments on those?
No, everything's good.
And then we move to hearing no questions. Number 5, Schedule F advisory panelist selection, and I will turn that over to Ms. Lee Houston.
Okay, you might want to check behind tab number 5. And those are the ones who made the cuts from the State Department and from the commission when y'all did your reviews as well. Those are the people who made the cuts. It comes to 19 were approved, 13 in social studies, 6 in CTE. There's about 18 different publishers, and we have enough to cover everything.
Any questions regarding that list? Lee, when will the notifications be made to them?
As soon as the meeting's over.
Okay.
As soon as the vote is taken.
We are now looking at item number 6, Schedule F, TDOE Advisory Panelist Training Overview, and we will turn that over to Mr. Michael Bradburn. There's a whole list of them. Michael's just first.
Good morning, everybody. Michael Bradburn, Senior Director of Secondary Literacy, Humanities, and Student Opportunities for the department. Excited to be able to talk with you about the advisory training that our K-12 Social Studies Manager, Rebecca Reed, created to be able to support the advisory panel that you all were just discussing hiring for the training in April. So you have a copy of the slide deck that was emailed out, so I can just walk you through that. I think we previewed it together last time. I can flag a couple of areas that we did add a slide just for some confirmation and some clarity for the advisory panel. But if you look at, is it the 6? You're looking at tab 6. So the first day of training, we really wanted to level set with the advisory panel about the shifts that are occurring within the revised standards and really talk with them about the expectations and the vision and mission of their work as social studies educators. So that's what you'll see sort of walking through this and really give them an understanding of the tools that they'll have available to support that high quality instruction as they're looking within their materials that they're reviewing. So if you look at slide 3, that's the agenda, just again, welcoming and framing them, talking with them about that vision for high quality social studies instruction. The instructional focus documents, or IFDs, were created by Rebecca in order to evaluate that through a classroom visit, what high quality instruction looks like. So that would be a tool that they would also want to be familiar with. And then they're going to get an opportunity to experience some of the review together. So the work that they will actually get to do with the materials that were bid, they'll get to dig into those, think about the process, work on it collaboratively to make sure that they are equipped and ready to dig into the materials that were bid there. So we will, on slide 5, talk about their legislative requirements and the responsibilities of the advisory panel. And so then if you flip over, you will see that we also, on slides 12 through 15, so that would be on page 2, the back of page 2 and 3, highlighting those shifts like we were mentioning, right? Because there are some overarching shifts that are happening within the standards for each of the grade bands and calling those out. And then the individuals who would be reviewing for those specific grade bands will have the revised standards. And there's also a crosswalk available so they can see as they dig into those shifts as well. And then that modeled experience comes on slide 17. So again, they get to start sort of digging into what that looks like, how they're going to look through the materials, and then they're going to talk through what defining evidence looks like, right? So it's not necessarily about just having the standard there, but it's about how they've integrated the standard into the lessons. Or it's not about having a list of the social studies practices, but how students will actually get to engage with those during instruction throughout the materials. And so if you look at slides 27, sorry, don't go there yet. Go to slides 23 and 24. Based on the application review that we were looking there, that we did want to spend a little bit more time thinking through what standard integration looks like and getting to the depth of the standards. So those are new slides that we have added just to ensure that we go to the depth with the advisory panel about what would be expected during those lessons. And then if you do go to 27 and 28, we also wanted to talk to them about those social studies practices as well to make sure, again, that it's not just looking specifically for a list to say that these could be integrated in, but how they are integrated into the lesson. So that way the teachers and educators who are using materials are supported as they are implementing the lessons within the materials. So that would wrap up day 1. Any questions about day 1 of training? It's going to be a busy day as you hear. So then for day 2 of training, it's really that opportunity to, again, practice what they're going to be doing as they're reviewing the materials. So there's going to be a collaborative learning task that they will sort of norm on, again, talking about what feedback is given, what evidence is provided, how they're looking for that standards integration, how they're looking for those social studies practices. And then they're going to break out into their specific grade bands. So again, as Lee mentioned, I think on the list it's broken down by which grade bands they'll be reviewing. So they'll work with other individuals doing that same grade band to dig a little bit into the standards and expectations. And then they're going to get an opportunity to reflect about that, right? Asking questions, make sure that they're sort of normed on those responses since they will be working independently as they review the materials. I will flag on slide 15, there is a timeline materials and logistics slide that we will just get with Lee and Kendra and Hayden to make sure that we share when their feedback is due back, what they're going to be doing to share that with the textbook commission. Any questions about day 2?
So, Ms. Houston, do we
Yes.
have a plan, do we have the dates planned for those reviews? For
Yes.
the training?
Yes, so those will be April 23rd and 24th. It's a Thursday, Friday. It will be at the Roane State campus in Cumberland County. Very hard to find a space during TCAP testing.
Yes. So I just want to make an offer to this group. If you are interested, it's a odd place to be, but TCAP does, fortunately trump all of us. But anybody who wants to attend that, if you could reach out to Ms. Houston, it will give you a clearer picture of what actually happens. These materials are thoroughly reviewed, and the experts that we hire are trained exceptionally well, so that when it is taken back to the districts, we can thoroughly endorse it and find the weaknesses and point those out. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to Lee, and we'll be glad to make that happen for you. Okay. Any questions for?
So I've got just one question. So would it be possible to add a slide specific, so the purpose of the commission is to make sure that we're in compliance with all Tennessee laws. And I didn't see a slide in there mentioning TCA 49.6.1019, the prohibited concepts, and then also the content harmful to minors,
I think it's,
Common Core.
it's slide 5.
Okay. It's kind of small print, I couldn't really see. So does it cover all those in there?
Yeah, so the TCA 49.6.2201, and I can share with you the slide bigger so you can look at it. But yeah, it's calling out. Yeah, so it's A1C, comply with all of that you were just mentioning. It's all listed there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Next, we have Ms. Candy Collier, who is the Senior Director for the CTE and Special Projects for the Department of Education.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So my training is very similar. We have the benefit of having a year of experience under our belt in this, and so last year's training went very well, and we got some good feedback. So we are just mimicking that training from last year. So it starts in day one with a general overview, and then we kind of break down the rubric into what you could expect to see for each of the point allocations for each of the sections. So once we get through all of that, that takes about the first day of training to get through all those individual pieces and questions that they might have. So our key indicators specific to career and technical education are student engagement, the activity aligned to grade level so that it's not too elementary and it's not a college text either. The use of current industry practices. We have seen in the past that some of the materials have pictures of, they're clearly from 1952, and so we don't want those kinds of things. Career exploration, which is a big push for us, and then the instructional materials. So once we look through all of that on day one, in day two, we generate fictional curriculum, what might look like something that they might find, and we kind of norm on a grading process and talk through what that might look like, what everybody's scores were, so that when the reviewers leave, they kind of have an idea of what the scoring process looks like and that everybody's on the same page. Questions about any of that?
I actually have the same question with, in the beginning, are all reviewers in the same room that will hear the Tennessee code? Are the CTE brought in separately?
So I believe that we start all together, but that's more about, and I'll defer to you, the beginning is more about.
So generally, on the first morning of advisory panelist training, all of the reviewers across all subjects are in one room together. We go through administrative sort of housekeeping things. We also touch on sort of the commission's own legal training as it relates to certain statutes that they need to be aware of when they're looking at material. After that, then it's broken up and reviewers go CTE, and then also reviewers go to social studies. So, but there is training across all reviewers as it relates to all of those statutes.
I just want to go back to Billy's request. Those legislative requirements need to be read and reviewed for all reviewers. And I didn't see that in Candy's slide. That's why I want to be sure that,
Yes, ma'am.
that that's all being reviewed.
Yes, ma'am. So they're reviewed from the commission, from myself, for all reviewers, and then also the department does their own when they break up in sort of CTE section and then social studies section as well. So
This is a question for this group. Would you like to see that slide added again for the beginning of the social studies training when they break apart? Or is it sufficient to have it in the one group? Because, Michael?
Yes.
Are you doing it just with language arts as well?
So this would just be.
I'm sorry, I'm
I was
with
thinking,
language arts.
so we will be, so this is the slides that we will use with our breakout group as well.
Okay.
So I think it would reiterate what Hayden had shared at the large group.
Would you like to see that slide added to Candy's?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
if you could add that slide, please.
I absolutely will.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any further questions?
Dr. Cash, I've got one question. So The statutes are mentioned in this one slide. Does the mentioning of those statutes suffice to cover every aspect of those statutes? Like, I think there might be some concerns from the districts that the books that we're going to have are actually absolutely in compliance. There's going to be no controversy that arises in the future.
So you've got two different things going on. This group is not a legal group, so they are only reviewing the text. Our job as the commission is to make them aware of this. When we all reviewed those texts and they're reviewing it again, our job was to make sure they were in compliance, but that is really on the textbook. If they are out of compliance with those, then it would come to Lee and to the department, and then they would notify the textbook companies at that point. So
Gotcha.
these are just reviewers for content standards, but we want them to be very much aware of, hey, if you see this, you need to make it come to the top. Does that make sense?
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I may touch on that, there are multiple levels that the commission looks at to ensure that all of the material is in compliance with the law. And one of those is when a publisher submits a bid at the very beginning of a textbook adoption cycle, there are certain documents that they have to fill out and they have to sign. One of those documents goes into detail that they are basically signing and agreeing that their material that they're submitting for bid is in compliance with all of the law and the statutes as it relates in the state of Tennessee. So, yep.
Thank you.
And I'll just add to that, a lot of the textbooks companies, because they can't use just a blanket curriculum and textbooks for Tennessee, will have just a Tennessee textbook. And that we've seen more frequently, but that is a great question to bring up.
Thank you for covering that.
Any other questions? Okay. We are moving on to item 7, the TDO Supplemental Materials Quality Rubric Overview.
I'm happy to take that one, Dr.
Thank you,
Cash.
Tracy. I think that-
Yep.
Dr. Wall, I'm sorry.
So behind tab 8, you will see a document and an artifact that was requested by this commission, not during our virtual meeting in January, but the meeting prior, that was referenced related to the positioning and use of districts electing to review and utilize supplemental materials. We had a really robust conversation around the purview of the commission, our lane in terms of reviewing full sets of curriculum and really working through what is supplemental curriculum, how do we support districts in making wise choices and discerning what to consider as supplemental materials, and putting some just guidance in place around the potential local adoption of supplemental materials. Each district does it however they have board policy around and however they operationalize their local adoption. However, we spelled out across our academics team at the department the purpose of this type of guidance document, the definition by Tennessee Code Annotated of what supplemental materials are versus a full curriculum set, just to level set on what materials this document actually refers to, and then providing some LEA or some district assurances, and then talking through the general waiver process that is associated with the State Board of Education. So with that, there's 2 pages of kind of lots of explanation and information related to instructional materials that districts can utilize as they see fit. And then there are 2 associated rubrics that were developed by the department. The first one begins on page 3 and is to be utilized or could be utilized by districts for general education, instruction, and elective supplemental materials. Page 5, there is a similar CTE-specific supplemental materials rubric that's been provided, and you can see if you cross-reference page 3 and page 5 and its associated parts, the rubric calls out quality metrics that should look and appear very common to the full curriculum reviews that we do and hire the advisory panelists to do. So the rubric includes the alignment to Tennessee standards, integration of instructional content shifts, the instructional quality represented by the material, the ease of use, student engagement, assessment and feedback, accessibility, and then return on investment. Across those criteria indicators, you can see that the scoring is a 1 to 4 range, 1 being inadequate, that it doesn't meet the mark of the criteria, all the way up to exemplary, and then obviously questionable and proficient are also offered. There were also some scoring guide ranges provided that districts can interact with and utilize, just for recommendations around if you're holistically scoring supplemental materials at the district level. You hopefully have a team working around this, and you've got a collective review. So just trying to provide some general scoring guidance on each rubric we thought would be helpful in terms of its usability. Again, I think the proposal here on these rubrics was that it be seen and utilized by districts as an additional tool and resource to ensure quality before districts start to make additional investments on top of their full sets of curricular materials. Again, it's not a requirement of the commission or of this body, but wanted to present it to you all as an option to consider to support districts. I think Dr. Cash brought up during that meeting that districts were really struggling with hearing from vendors, trying to make decisions around what to prioritize in purchasing, how does it fit, and actually truly supplement core curricular materials, so on and so forth. So we wanted to try and provide something in the absence of nothing right now. And so happy to take questions or thoughts and feedback around these two supplemental rubric drafts.
Any questions?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I do have a question. I noticed that under LEA assurances, Common Core is mentioned. The prohibition on adopting Common Core, did we not pass legislation with regards to DEI also?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, because I thought that was one of the, I may be thinking of another group, but because that is an issue that has been brought up with the legislature. Do we have legislation? Do we know?
So I don't know any off the top of my head that affects textbooks or instructional materials, but I'm happy to look into it and provide a response to you. Yeah,
That would be
absolutely.
great, thank you.
So I do want to say, this is just a guide. Like, this is not rule. This is not rules. It's not because the supplemental material is not governed by this commission. This commission adopts the textbooks that has to cover a full curriculum, 180 days of curriculum. So they are going from the beginning of the course to the end of the course with all the standards. The supplemental material is always at the district level for approval. So each district should have an adopted policy for them to review it, but that is not in state law, so we do not govern supplemental material. So I want to be sure that we're all clear on that. But what the districts are struggling with is every vendor wants them to look at their materials. So thank you from the department and from Dr. Wall. This is just guidance. It's not a law. It's not, hey, you have to use this. This is guidance, and we appreciate that because districts have really, really needed it to do a rubric and say, well, one thing, if it does not meet Tennessee standards, it should be out. So I personally appreciate this greatly for guidance.
Absolutely. Since we're mentioning Common Core, I know DEI has been a major issue in the state as well. Just wanted that to be clear.
Thank you. Any other comments? Dr. Wall, thank you. I think the districts will be favorable in this. Can you tell me when this would be available to districts, or what we as a commission need to do to push that out there?
Sure. And I think it's really up to this body. It was a request of the commission for the department to put this together. And so I think that consulting TCA or any pending legislation, perhaps Hayden, would be helpful with the point that Ms. Cardozo-Moore brought up related to DEI, would be helpful just to run adequate checks and balances there. I will say that the list of current TCA was what it is in law and what, is required of statewide approval of materials, and so that was very much so consistently carried over. But if there is any additions or other references or legislation that needs to be considered, I would ask that be checked first. And then, we're happy to coordinate, with the Textbook Commission staff, if it's placement on the website as a resource under the districts tab, or helping, with further communication, whatever, the commission feels would be supportive to districts, we're happy to help with.
Just a question for this commission, would you like for that to be on the next workshop agenda and a voting item, just to reinforce that we want that out there for districts? Is that something you would like to see?
Yes. That'll be good.
And hey, you and the department will do some checks and balances with that. Thank you. From the director of schools viewpoint, I am so thankful because we as a district do our own, but this guidance may help at the principal level to say, hey, before it ever gets us, this doesn't meet that, I'm not pushing it up. So we appreciate that. The number of vendors may also slow down a little bit if they know that there's some guidance out there. So greatly appreciate that. Are there any other items for discussion for the workshop agenda? Hearing none, we'll close the workshop and we'll move over into the textbook meeting agenda. I now open the meeting agenda for the Tennessee Textbook and Instructional Materials Quality Commission, March 4th, 2026, pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated 4962201, K7. Every meeting of the Textbook Commission is made available for viewing by the public by clicking this link or visiting the Tennessee Textbook Commission Meetings and Workshop webpage. And reading that, I'd like to welcome and call to order the Textbook Commission meeting for March 4th, 2026. Mr. Shaddy, could we have a roll call, please?
Dr. Linda Cash.
Present.
Ms. Becky Atkinson. Mr. Mike Bell.
Present.
Mr. Billy Bryan.
Present.
Ms. Katie Capshaw.
Present.
Ms. Lori Cardozo-Moore.
Present.
Dr. Rebecca Farley. Dr. Kathy Hickey.
Present.
Dr. Cherry Robertson.
Present.
Mr. John Weston Jr.
Present.
Dr. Christy Wall.
Present.
Ms. Nikki Jones Wallace.
Present.
Thank you. We'll also move into, again, introduction of our commission members. And we will start on this side with Mr. Weston and move around to the department.
Sean Weston, West Tennessee, appointed by the governor.
Christy Wall, Assistant Commissioner of Academics, Tennessee Department of Education, representing the Commissioner.
Jones Wallace, state librarian, representing Tennessee Department of Education.
Lori Cardozo-Moore, appointed by the Speaker of the House to represent parents and citizens in Middle Tennessee.
Katie Capshaw, appointed by the Lieutenant Governor of School Librarian.
Kathy Hickey, appointed by the Lieutenant Governor, representing East Tennessee.
Linda Cash, appointed by the Lieutenant Governor, representing Southeast Tennessee.
Mike Bell, appointed by the Lieutenant Governor, representing Southeast or East Tennessee.
Cherry Robertson, appointed by the governor, representing Lebanon Special School District.
Billy Bryan, I'm a high school teacher in West Tennessee, and I was appointed to the commission by Governor Lee. Thank
you so much. We will start with our item D, our declaration of conflict. Before we begin, I would like to address the matter of conflict of interest as required by Tennessee Code annotated section 4962201G1. Under this law, members of the Textbook and Instructional Materials Quality Commission must avoid any situation that could present a direct or indirect conflict of interest in the review, recommendation, or adoption of textbooks and instructional materials. Each member has a duty to act solely in the best interest of the state of Tennessee and its students. A conflict of interest may arise if a member or someone closely connected to them has a financial, professional, or personal relationship with a publisher, vendor, or other party that could benefit from the Commission's decision. This includes any circumstances that could impair or appear to impair our impartial judgment. At this time, I ask each commission member to declare any actual or potential conflicts of interest related to the matters before us today, if any. These declarations will be recorded in the minutes, and where appropriate, the member may be excused from discussion or voting on the relevant item. Our role as members of the commission is to ensure Tennessee students receive high-quality, unbiased instructional materials. By making these disclosures openly, we protect the integrity of the commission's work and maintain public trust in the process. I will now pause to allow any declarations of conflict of interest to be made. Seeing there are none, we will now move to the consent item, adoption of the agenda. For adoption of the agenda, could I have a motion?
Motion to adopt the agenda. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we have a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. No discussion. Going on to item 3, the consent items, there is no vote. Textbook substitutions, Ms. Lee Houston, Executive Director of the Textbook Commission, and item B, acknowledgement of Schedule F, official bid list. Do I have a motion to approve from the consent item?
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, could we have a voice vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Are you nay or yay?
I'm aye.
Hearing none, we have passed consent items A and B under number 3. We are now reviewing action items number 4. We will start with the election of chair, and I will turn that over to Mr. Mike Bell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there, to move on with the election of the chairman, is there a nomination for chairman?
I nominate Dr. Linda Cash.
There's one nomination on the table. Are there any further nominations? Seeing none, then without objection, we will close nominations and by acclamation, elect Linda Cash as chair. Are there any objections to that? Seeing none, then without objection, by acclamation, Linda Cash, Dr. Cash, your chair.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I will say, over the years, it has become much easier because we have a team and we have such great relationships working with the department. So it is an honor to do this and to continue. Moving on, we now have the election of the vice chair. At this time, I would like to open nominations for vice chair of the commission.
I nominate Mike Bell.
We have a nomination of Mike Bell. Are there any other? Hearing no further nominations, are there any objections? Okay. We move by acclamation that Mr. Mike Bell will be the vice chair of the commission. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Congratulations.
We are on item C, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our January 7th, 2026?
Madam Chair, I think I've got one correction to make.
Sure.
I am listed as absent, but I'm also listed as voting several times, so I think.
So I believe you're looking at, you're probably looking at minutes, draft minutes from the January meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, and you were,
I'm listed as absent, but I'm also listed as voting. I was here.
Okay.
I wasn't
All
here
right.
for the roll call,
Yes.
if I remember well. So that's the one correction I'd like to make.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay.
So we do have a correction in the minutes. That correction is that Mr. Mike Bell was present and accounted for. Making that, I'm going to need another motion to accept that correction. But I have a motion to accept the correction that Mr. Mike Bell was present.
Motion to accept the correction.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, we will move to approve the minutes as discussed with Mr. Mike Bell being present. Any comments? We have a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
And we have a second. We need a roll call vote, please.
Dr. Linda Cash,
Yes.
Ms. Becky Atkinson, Mr. Mike Bell,
Yes.
Mr. William Billy Bryan,
Yes.
Ms. Katie Capshaw,
Yes.
Ms. Lori Cardoza Moore,
Yes.
Dr. Rebecca Farley, Dr. Kathy Hickey,
Yes.
Dr. Cherry Robertson,
Yes.
Mr. John Weston Jr.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to item D, approval of Schedule F advisory panelist members. Those were the members that we reviewed in the workshop agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, we would like a roll call vote for the approval of Schedule F advisory panelist members.
Dr. Linda Cash,
Yes.
Ms. Becky Atkinson, Mr. Mike Bell,
Aye.
Mr. William Billy Bryan,
Yes.
Ms. Katie Capshaw,
Yes.
Ms. Lori Cardoza Moore,
Yes.
Dr. Rebecca Farley, Dr. Kathy Hickey,
Yes.
Dr. Cherry Robertson,
Yes.
Mr. John Weston Jr.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. Our next item is item E, library materials appeals. It's a standing item. Do we have any appeals present?
We have none.
We have none. We will move on to item 5, a request to speak, public comments. Do we have anyone here for public comments? Okay, we have no one speaking on public comments. We're moving to item 6, 2026 Commission meeting dates and locations. If you will look at your agenda, there will be an in-person special meeting on July 29th, 2026. There will be an in-person regular meeting on October 1st, 2026. Does anyone have a conflict with those meetings?
I have a conflict on October 1st.
Okay, so we know we will not have one present, so we'll just note that. Any further discussions? Okay. All 2026 in-person meeting locations will take place at Middle Tennessee State University. Item 7, other business from the commission. Do you have any other discussions or anything, any questions you would like to ask? Anyone? John, are we making sense to you?
You are fine.
Okay. Okay.
I would ask questions.
Okay. So hearing no discussions, no further business, I call this meeting as adjournment. Item A, we are adjourned for the day. Thank you.